All right, good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, June 30th, 2019. This is the board meeting of the Continuing Committee. I am Maggie Geppert, current board chair and executive officer. Thank you all if you are following along. If there are any questions, I'm gonna monitor the chat room and watch for questions. And also, I'll pop onto the Discord and see if there's anything there that if anybody has any questions. So if you have questions for the board meeting, please post them in the dojo. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our current attendees. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with who I see on my left, which is Charlie Plain. Charlie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning, or evening, or whatever time it is when you're watching this. My name is Charlie Plain. I am the director of First Edition, Midnight Lich on the Forum.
All right, then next is Daniel. Oh, you're muted, Daniel.
Forgot about that. Daniel Madison. I am OK Coyote on the forums. I am the director of communications.
All right, then Justin.
Good morning on the West Coast side here. I'm the Chief Financial Officer, and yeah, don't have any quote to say. I'm not as cool as Ross, apparently.
Well, Ross always has something interesting to say, so I'll leave that. He's the last person left to right. So Ross, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Ross Vertel, faithful reader on the forums, director of Second Edition. Went to a sushi restaurant the other week. It seemed like it was not served traditionally on a naked woman. It was served on a plank of wood, and I'm disappointed.
There. It was a nice sushi restaurant.
Oh, it was fantastic.
We went back the next night.
Yeah, I know. I'm jealous because I was sitting on the plane sweating while you guys were telling me that you were eating more sushi. All right. So yeah, it was good to see Ross and Charlie at North American Continentals, along with everybody else who attended North American Continentals last weekend in Atlanta. That was a fantastic gig put on by Michael Shea, the prefect on board. So thank you, Michael, for running such a fantastic event. I also heard that lots of fun was had in Manchester for the European Continentals. So thank you to Patty, Kazan Pad, for running the European Continentals last weekend as well. All right, let's go ahead and start in with the agenda. So first thing, approval of minutes. So did anybody have any notes they needed to make on the minutes? I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Okay. If I may move to approve the minutes.
All right, Ross moves to approve the minutes. I will go ahead and second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, cool. All right, minutes approved, huzzah. All right, so then department reports. Let's start with First Edition.
Thank you, Maggie. Again, I think First Edition is pretty healthy overall. We did add 2 cards to the ban list at the start of June, and we are adding 2 more tomorrow to make sure that the World Championship and German Nationals and American Nationals are as clean as we can manage them. And I never like adding cards to the ban list, but the point of the ban list is it's a holding area for cards that are causing problems. And as we'll talk about later, I would like to make sure that we're reacting quickly and swiftly and directly with potential problems. So as much as I don't like adding cards to the ban list, I'm glad that it's a tool that we have access to. Since we last met, the cage has come out, and I'm excited to see people play with it. The last regional of the year in West Fargo is today, where the cage is legal, so I'm excited to see that. And then as I mentioned, we have German Nationals in 2 weeks, or next week. this coming weekend. And then we have American Nationals at the start of August, and then Worlds after. So it's going to be interesting to see how the cage changes the meta. I know when we were at North American Continentals, it's not a big Winnie town in Atlanta, but there were some decent Winnie players there, and we were chatting about how we think it's going to shift the meta in interesting ways. So that's going to be exciting. Behind the scenes, work continues on our various projects. I actually am going to be tackling a status update thread post this week or next to give you more updates. But Jakar is moving along nicely. It's probably the best received initial version of a file we've had in my time working on Winnie. So it's moving along very well. Londo, which is the third set in the block, is moving through development nicely. They'll be in testing in a couple months. And we've got some surprise projects coming that I think people are really going to like. So the rules team, I believe, is putting out an update tomorrow. There are no errata coming out tomorrow, first Monday of the month. Things are moving along nicely, and Tribbles, which is now part of Winnie, and we're getting another rev or two of our current file, and then I'm hoping to get a Tribbles expansion out in the fall. So I think overall things are positive for the Winnie side. I don't have anything that's like a big problem on my radar, and we're doing a lot of short-term and long-term planning right now behind the scenes. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we'll be playtesting Tribbles. At least I have a Tribbles playtest deck today, so see how that works out. All right.
Charlie, if I could get a
go
comment in real quick. Just a reminder that your article for tomorrow is showing one card being added to the ban list, so that is going to need a revision.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing as soon as this meeting is over. It's all set in the system, but then I have to go and update the article. Matt Zeno would normally do that as our director of, as our errata manager, but he's on vacation. I believe he's on a cruise ship. So
Gotcha.
Yes, I need to update the article.
I think I have a feeling what the other one is.
Probably, yeah.
I think I've seen notes on that. So, okay.
Yeah, and to note about the cage, I'm actually quite excited about the cage. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't tournament legal for Continentals, and I couldn't build a Let Me Help deck for Continentals. But I had a good time playing John Carter's Mako deck, so that was all right.
You mean Lucas's Mako deck?
Was it? Okay, I borrowed it from John Carter.
No, it was John's deck.
Oh, it was John's.
It came from John. So.
Yes, but I wanted to build Lucas's deck because that he was playing a Romance in the Holosuite, Cafe des Artistes, DS9 Noir deck, which is kind of something I wanted to build anyway. So I got some ideas from him.
No, I'm excited that Borg can't escape gender dilemmas now, which is awesome.
You've taught the Borg how to love.
All right, Ross, go ahead and give us your second edition update then.
So Less Perfect Union was actually legal at North American Continentals. I was somewhat disappointed to not see Terra Prime in the Continentals proper, but they did make a pretty big splash in some of the side events. The big project that I'm doing literally right now is collecting all the proofreading notes for Gannicus. Spend several hours doing that today. It's something that I'll be doing as soon as this meeting is over, compiling them, getting them ready. Art is diligently finding images for the 54 cards. It's looking pretty good. I expect that to be late summer, early fall release. After that, Anniversary is in testing. There were some changes made to Anniversary. based solely on playtester feedback. Some cards were cut entirely, others were pretty much retooled. But that's, in playtesting, it's going along pretty well. As far as Lassie is concerned, I know the designers are pretty much ready, getting that set ready for the playtesters, and they're eager to see the feedback on that. I'm also having very preliminary discussions with design on the set after Lassie, which will probably be getting started in fairly short order. It's going to be part of the new design paradigm, but we'll get to that a little later in the meeting.
All right, excellent. Let's see. Where are we next? All right, communications. How are things going, Daniel?
Oh, things are going okay. Michael was pretty busy recently with putting on Continentals, so I think that's kind of tied up a lot of his time in the last few weeks. Things are kind of moving into a lull period this month, just because Continentals are wrapping up, and 2E put a set out and 1E put a set out, and as far as I'm aware, there's nothing about to kick out the door. So we've got a little period where we don't have a whole lot of articles going on. Matt Zeno did do a couple of post-release articles for The Cage, which is kind of nice. I'm kind of hoping we see more of that. I'd like to see some follow-up articles after a set releases, like, oh, now that this set's out, here's some ideas for things you can do. So something I'm thinking about it. I want to see a little more of that. Just follow up stuff after a set comes out. I did. I took over the Twitter account for a weekend while Austin took some time off the site, and did a little secret giveaway on Twitter. And which reminds me, I still have to send that prize out. And Austin told me he'd like to work on doing some more giveaways on social media. He also wants to work on being a little more proactive as a department with getting in touch with TDs and ambassadors when big events are coming up, and making sure they have access to social media and are publishing things when big events are happening. So I know Charlie did a lot for us, posting pictures and stuff from Continentals and giving us updates. So thank you, Charlie. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on right now. Off department news is I'm starting to put things together for Masters, and working with Charlie on some money stuff. So yeah, that's what's going on with me.
All right, excellent. So let's see, operations. So Brian Schaffline had a softball game at 9 a.m. this morning from 9 to 10. So he's going to try to pop in a little later, but I can give you all some updates on operations. So first off, I know the biggest thing that everybody wants to know about with operations is the warehouse. So Dan, this is Dan's busy season, and so he, if you don't know, Dan's daughter is a avid softball player, so weekends are taken up with softball. He's also been traveling a lot for work lately. So in the evenings, as best as he can, and I've been getting the email updates in the mornings from him, he's been assembling kits, assembling the rainbow promo, the promos that we put on the rainbow foil. So those are anything for the Masters kits, Continentals, and Worlds. So he's been doing those assembly. He's been putting together the packages. I know that everybody here is wondering about their prizes from the last raffle. Those he's got, those are printed, and he's got to pack those up to send. I have asked Dan to prioritize all of the packages that are going out for the big events or that have either already happened or will happen soon. So anything level 3 or above, those kits, if you haven't received them yet, they are prioritized in the queue. The World's promos are assembled, and they need to be sent off. For those of you guys who need to know, the way that Dan does this is that he prints the labels, he packages them up. For anything domestic, he can put, and that's small, he can put that on his doorstep and get a pickup from the postal service. Anything that's larger, he has to physically go to the postal service. And if it's international, he has to fill out customs forms. If it is a master's kit, those are large and they can't be picked up at your front door. So those are the things that take the big time. Now, in order to sort of to relieve some of the burden, Dan has given for future promos. Dan has given my assembly group, the blessing to do anything that's been on the rainbow foils. So we can basically, all of the assembly of promos has been outsourced to the other warehouses, and then the only duties Dan has now are packaging and shipping stuff and running the raffle. Now, I don't know when the second quarter raffle is going to go up. I don't know when he's going to have time for the bins. I don't know when it's going to be run, but I hope you guys can all be patient and understand that other stuff is going on in Dan's life right now. So we're doing our best to take the burden off of him. Those of you, by the way, who are awaiting Spotlight Series prizes from ages ago, I have sent off about half of those on Friday. The other half, I need to PM people for their addresses because I didn't have your address in the promenade. So you'll be getting a PM from me quite soon about addresses for the Spotlight prizes. They're all put together. So those will be going out too. So if you're waiting for a Spotlight Series prize, those are going to be going out. So that's what I know with the warehouse. Charlie, how are things coming with Series N promos? Because that was one of the things we were missing.
I have a few done that I put in the mail yesterday, but not enough. And I'm having a hard time getting our group to do the production, so I may put us on pause for a while and look to activate another group.
Yeah, and I haven't asked. I forgot. I was going to ask Mike Shea about the new 2E promos that are supposed to be available soon. I don't know where he sits on the production.
Well, Mike Shea caught a mistake on one of them, and I got the corrected sheet, but I haven't sent it to him yet, so that's on me. But I'm going to get that done today to get that ordered, and then we put a pause on the update for promos for 2 weeks. Just to be perfectly honest, it fell off the to-do list on all of our parts, and we were like, oh crap, it's July 1st. So we decided to say we're going to take 2 weeks and get that done. Also, this way I can teach Brian, I can walk through all the steps with Brian, so Brian can take it over moving forward instead of me. So the new kits won't go up for a while still, and the printable update isn't going to be tomorrow. It's going to be the 15th, so 2 weeks. So we're not missing it by much, but it was just like I said, we just all sort of knew it was coming, but didn't realize that June went really fast for me. I mean, it was like June 1st, and now it's July 1st. So I own it. I messed up, but we're going to get that out to you here in 2 weeks. So, and that should be enough time to get the new promos to Mike and get them updated and get everything out to the warehouse for new promo series to go up. So.
Yay! All right.
But I think we'll keep the old ones around for a while too. Still.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got plenty of. I forget what set it is. 18, I think, in stock. So that should be fine. I mean, as far as I know, with things like art, we already have Ross saying art was pulling images for Project Gannicus. I don't have what else we have there. There's new achievements. If you guys didn't look, there are new achievements for the Cage release and for Less Perfect Union. So go out and make your Terra Prime deck. Go out and make your Obsession deck or whatever the... Charlie, what are the one achievements? I forgot. I looked yesterday. I totally forgot.
Let's see if I can look. There's some old ones that got updated. Let me see. I don't know how much of this is supposed to be secret, but...
well, anybody can go and look at them.
Yeah, I
don't know
guess
if
none of
there's
them are
any
hidden.
ones.
So there's the Cage, which is play in a first edition tournament using all the Christopher Pike stuff. General Order 7, the mission, Risk is Our Business. But there's an Obsession one, which is Space Monsters, which I think is sort of an updated... I don't know if it's a remake of an old one or if it's a new achievement. There used to be one that was like, use a self-controlling card. This is use a bunch of self-controlling cards. And then there's an updated version of the Shore Leave achievement. Shore Leave was do gender dilemmas. This one is use Let Me Help and gender dilemmas. So I think it's called Shore Leave 2, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
So I think there's 6 new achievements.
Yeah, and then there's at least 2 new achievements for the Less Perfect Union release, and there's one for Terra Prime, I think.
Yay, achievements.
Yay, achievements.
So I'm building a Terra Prime deck for Worlds. I'm trying to make it as mean and nasty as I can.
I can't seem to get back to the call.
Yeah, you. All right, so let's see. All right, other thing, organized play. Chris actually was got distracted by moving house. So, but I can tell you a couple of things about organized play, things that I know about OP. We have organized play is currently accepting bids for high-level events for 2020. As of the last I heard, there were a few. There were applications coming in from around the world, but at the last update I had, nobody was brave enough yet to bid for Worlds. So
hint, hint.
Yeah. So, but that's all I know right now about who. I don't know anything about who is bidding for what and where, but bids are currently being accepted for high-level events for 2020. We are also, Organized Play is also currently discussing the promos for the Organized Play promos for 2020. It will be the year of the Cardassian, and we haven't nailed down everything. Daniel's very excited about that. So we haven't nailed down everything yet, but we discussed some ideas at Continentals that are on the list right now. So if you're watching this and have any particular promos you want to see for Year of the Cardassians, give a shout out. If you have something you'd like to see. Other than that, as Charlie mentioned, we've got Kaiser. So upcoming organized play events, big stuff. Kaiser Fest 2 is next weekend. I will be making Weisswurst Frühstück for breakfast Saturday morning in honor of Kaiser Fest. If you don't know what that is, that's sausage and pretzels and beer. Although I may not feed the beer to the kids. That's what Kaiser's making next Saturday morning. And then Gen Con with U.S. Nationals and then Worlds. So it's a very busy time coming up in the next month for the next 6 weeks.
I still really could use somebody's help to run a Thursday afternoon tournament. If anybody's going to Gen Con and is willing to run a 2E beginner-friendly event on Thursday, please reach out to me. That's my only conflict that I can't sort of shake around. So if anybody can help me, I'd be grateful.
All right, so if you're watching this and you're going to Gen Con, please help. All right, yeah, that's all I know about organized play. Let's see then. All right, Justin, how's our financial status?
Happy to report. Changing over things have gone pretty well. Had several, purchasing requests, people needing supplies. Those typically have been ordered in a timely manner. I've tried basically within 48 hours to get things ordered and shipped so people aren't waiting and holding up everyone else. All the shipping supplies for Dan, he received them middle of last week. Dan, if you have not received them and watching this, let me know and I'll track it down because it says everything's been arrived and delivered. So that should be good there. That was the biggest part, and the other half of that is all of our bank statements for full disclosure will be linked on the website because that will show all of our expenses to operate all of the events and support all of our TDs and protecting the source of income so people's donations are still safely anonymous. Speak. What big project right now working on is reviewing shipping costs through stamps.com as well as potential international shipping from other locations. Our shipping costs have continue to go up to a level, and they're going to continue to rise based on where they've gone and where they've been. And so looking at that for future meeting discussion for potential ways to deal with that. What else? The only other thing is Gen Con. I know it's a fairly big lot of things that we need for Gen Con. What, Charlie, do we need for Gen Con? And shipping options to get stuff there. What are your thoughts on that?
Not fully put together, and I don't really. Yeah, we can talk about that offline. I need to get caught up on everything from being gone for a week and get you that info. So. Okay.
Yeah. And then Maggie mentioned regarding the policy support. Did you want to talk about the world's situation, or do you want to do that offline?
No, that's later. That's a new business.
Okay. So most of it's been going pretty good. Pretty much anybody needs anything, supplies, it's 48 hours turnaround maximum to get things ordered. So that way we're not waiting. And I think if, committing to that, other departments should not be lagging behind or waiting for anything. So, pretty good. Good stuff.
All right. Thank you, Justin. All right, so that's our department reports. So old business, I'd like to officially welcome Charlie and Brian to their posts. The 30-day comment period passed back on June 1st, so yay, you guys are official. All right, next thing here, budget. So did people get a chance to look at the budget for this year? And Justin, did you make any changes based on like possible donation amounts, what we can donate to TDs in case of emergency funds being needed? I forgot to check on that before we were looking at that.
The only thing is obviously we don't have the 1,500. The 1,500, I should mention, has been sent back to our first edition player for his gracious donation for the travel budget for 2015, I believe it was, or 2016. And so that's there. that's another thing. Shipping costs, that plus upcoming Masters. Masters is one of our second biggest expense. The playmats aren't cheap, and so that. Honestly, that's going to be play it by ear, determining where we're at for the month, how many kits were purchased, what kind of premium memberships were purchased each month. So the donation will have to be taken by case basis. Words.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute.
But I haven't made any changes. No.
Okay.
But the shipping expense, we're going to probably need to revise that upward, because we've spent close to $300 in shipping in the last month, which is significantly more than expected. So.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of, so most of that shipping, although it's been a very few packages, most of that shipping has been the large
Boxes,
the large boxes, the Masters prizes, or the Continentals. So, Continentals to Europe. We got one Masters kit out to Austria. We're still looking to get the German Nationals kits out to their 2 locations. Continentals to those. So those are big because those have the mats in them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We may have to revisit the idea of Masters getting the mats if those are popular or not. So maybe we put something out to the public and say, do you like the mats? Because we dropped them for Continentals, we dropped them for Worlds. The mats.
I mean, it could come down to the point where do we have the the ability to support our TDs financially if need be, or we do the mats because it's a significant amount of money and we don't have necessarily guaranteed income. I mean, people don't have to buy kits; they can just play for fun without prizes, and so it just all depends on the community.
All right. So do we want to table the budget again?
Yeah, I'll keep working on it. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask a favor?
Sure. What's up, Charlie?
I'm budget dumb. Can somebody translate some of this into like some English?
Sure. Of course.
Like, because I looked at it and then I went and took Tylenol and laid down and I'm an old man now. And it'd be nice if there was like just a 1 page or even less than that. Here's what this means, you idiot.
Yeah,
summary that I could read.
Yeah, I can put something together for that. For example, like looking at like the regional promos, like for the months, like regional season is typically March, April, May, maybe June. So regional fees would pretty much be coming in maybe December, but usually it's just January, February, March. And so, I put that amount there so that we reflect, we're going to be getting, or we'll have additional income coming in from regional fees in those months. Same goes for like your league passes, league season, when is the league promo typically going to be on sale, November through February before regional season. And then the release passes, typically, if we're releasing sets roughly every quarter or around there, spacing that out, we're typically going to get an influx in those special kits being purchased. Just to sort of see the difference in the income there. And then the regular passes, they can be purchased every month. As far as the expenses go, the operating expense, that $184.93 is the website, our voting platform, and stamps.com. And so those prices those don't change. It's just a fixed operation, keep everything running. Shipping and organized play expenses. Organized play expenses would be your foil productions, your play mats, buttons, anything for basically events. Then of course shipping supplies, and whatnot. There, your fees and expenses. The government expenses, and we have the annual report, which is $10. that we pay to the state, and then you have possibly having the charities annual renewal every year, and then of course the fees, our PayPal fee for taking the money in, which is the merchant fee, and then other service fees. Miscellaneous expense for things like, if we want to do a thank you dinner or a thank you gift to somebody that's, gone above and beyond, we've got money available there to do that. And then, yeah, so that's basically about it. But yeah, I can put something together, Charlie, for you, sort of lay it out in ABC talk, keeping it simple for anyone else that doesn't know numbers and accounting as well.
There's a reason we have a permanent tutoring table for accounting at my school.
And they also say that bankers make the worst accountants too, ironically, because banking, that knife field I'm in, is completely opposite to accounting.
My husband claims that making numbers that addition is negotiable, which he says that just to push the knife into my physicist's soul. All right. Anyway, so we'll get that. I'm going to move to table budget approval to the July meeting.
Second.
All right. In favor? All right. Yeah. All right. Cool. So we'll table that till next month. All right. Next thing on the agenda is new business. I didn't notice any other old business. So new business, we had a request for forward planning, just a quick statement of where we're going with first edition and second edition. And if anybody else wants to chime in on their own forward planning, that would be great as well. So I don't know, Charlie, you want to start?
I have an objection to the 1E player always having to go first.
Oh, okay. Then I'll make Ross go first.
No, I'm kidding.
It's in the title, Charlie. It's in the title.
Sorry,
First edition.
me numbers.
So, real quick, the question was, where do we see things in 5 years, over the next 5 years? And I'm working on a detailed document that we walk through a lot of this stuff, but let me give you a real high level look. I have 5 priorities that I want us to have significantly taken action on over the next 5 years. The first one is respond rapidly, and we're working towards this. But I want our department within 5 years to be able to quickly identify and respond to situations that need dealt with. That could be potentially broken cards. It could be problems in the meta. It could be powerful strategies that need counter weapons. But I want us to be able to move quickly to address those issues. I don't want what happened with the 22 stuff to happen again, where we're sort of sitting around. Is it a problem? Is it not a problem? I would rather be aggressive and turn out that something's not a problem and unban it than be passive and not have a plan of action. The next one is simplicity without sacrifice. And what I mean here is, wow, my cat is going apeshit. I'm sorry. He's okay. He's just, my bed is a mess because there's tons of stuff on it, but there's a cat over there. Now he's not doing it. Anyway, cats have nothing to do with 1E except the spot. Simplify without sacrifice. So what I want to do is look for places in the game where we can reduce complexity, particularly what we call comprehension complexity, which is understanding what's happening without reducing or sacrificing strategic complexity. So I want to find places where we can put rules on cards, remove rules, change interactions, errata cards, so that the difficulty to understand what's happening goes down without the options for making cool plays in 1E goes down. This has been a mantra for 1E since Jeremy Commander, but I want to expand and not escalate. So over the next 5 years, I want to be adding breadth to the game without increasing power levels. I think we're basically, the game's kind of at the top end of power level right now. And over the next 5, 10, 20 years, we have to start working that back somewhat, or it's just going to get more and more degenerate. So I want to look for opportunities to add new factions, new warp core cards, new reactor core cards that aren't just giving more power to stuff that's already powerful. Fourth, and this is something that's been a big criticism of the CC for years, but collect community feedback. I want to regularly be doing polls and surveys and market research from the players of 1E and the potential players of 1E to find out where you guys want things to go. Because it doesn't do me any good to make a 5-year plan that nobody's interested in. So, and then the last one is a continual problem for first edition, but lower barriers to entry. You know, last year we put together a good plan of stepping stones into 1E. I think we need to get that finished and get that out the door. We need to make it so that when I go to Atlanta, where they don't really play 1E and talk to potential players, they're not like, oh, 1E is too much for me. I don't want that to be the reaction. I want, you know, there's a lot of history there that we have to deal with, but I want people to have a path to ramping into 1E that isn't overwhelming. So, specific questions that were asked. Do I see us keeping the block or the 3-set theme of expansions going? We're actually about to put out a survey. I'm hoping to get it out this week, asking you guys what you want us to do in terms of how we design expansions. And the results of that survey are going to determine whether we keep doing 3-set blocks, whether we change to like a 2-set block model, or whether we get rid of the block model. So answering that question, I can't fully do right now. I'm hopeful by the next board meeting I can give you a more detailed answer with survey results to back it up. But stay tuned this week for a survey about how you want us to structure our design, because that's coming. Assuming that we do keep the 3-set model, I do have 2 more 3-year plans mapped out, just to give you a sense of what the next set would be. So after OS block would be the motion pictures. After the motion pictures would be a block based on the Delta Quadrant. After that would be sort of moving away from, it wouldn't be a property logo block. It would be a block based on making skills matter in a particular way. So imagine, for example, being able to build a music deck or an archaeology deck, independent necessarily of what your affiliations are. Not completely independent, obviously, because of how the game works. But then the third block of the next set of 3 would be going back to Deep Space Nine and tackling the back half of Deep Space Nine. Intermittent. One thing we are going to do if we keep doing blocks is doing sort of what we did over this past year, where we take a break. So it might be like block set. Here's a non-block set, then block set, and then peppering in small non-block expansions like Equilibrium or the Gift throughout, so that people who aren't in, because one of the big criticisms of block is that if I'm not interested in 22nd Century or TOS or the motion pictures, I'm not really getting anything for 3 years. So we want to address that by making sure we're sprinkling in not only cards in those expansions that are for people that don't like those things, but expansions in the slots. So yeah, so stay tuned for the big survey. That's the main thing I wanted to hype here, is that I can't really answer the question that was posed about whether I think we're going to stick ahead with the block model or not. I have plans based on if we do and if we don't. So we're going to put a survey together. It's already done. I just have to get it published and edited and out there to get your guys' feedback on how you want us to be structuring our designs, whether you want us to stick on the 3-set model or switch to something different. So I'm going to post up what I'm talking about here in a post so that you guys can see it, have it written out, because I knew I just throw a lot of information at you. And then maybe in the next board meeting or the one after that, we'll spend some more time going over things in detail. Or maybe I'll do a separate 1E meeting. But that's sort of the rough 5-year goal and strategy as it stands right now for first edition.
Cool.
Does anybody have questions?
Maggie, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Brian, welcome. How was the softball game?
We won, but that's no reflection of our skill.
All right. I'll ask you for any updates, any other updates for ops in just a second. I'm gonna let Ross do his do his spiel for this, and then we can circle back around if there's anything I missed from ops.
So the main question poised for second edition was, we've been having these sets that they're good sets, they're just not really connected to each other, especially not to the point of 1E, and kind of wondering where all this is going a bit longer term. It so happens with the change of design directors that we are actually going to be going to more of a block model, so to speak. And I've got a little article about this specific piece. I'll probably post it on the forums early this week. But it's going to be 3 sets dealing with something. So it might deal with past, or it might deal with interaction. But the idea is within each block, number 1, we cover each affiliation, and number 2, we explore the main mechanic. So, like, rather than have commodities be doled out through several sets, you have one set with your Ferengi, Dominion, and some other random commodity-related things. The other thing is some of these mechanics don't tend to encompass all the affiliations. For example, if we specifically went with past, actually, if we went with past or the future, or just time travel in general, that would leave out the Dominion and Maquis just by their very natures. And that would be something we would address. We will make sure to give someone, to give every faction affiliation something in each block, in each set of 3. Not quite sure how they're going to be distributed. We're still in very early discussions with getting this off the ground. We do realize that we need to get some solid plans in place pretty quickly, but that's big picture how expansions are going to look. I note that with the 1E stuff, it's been fairly story based, and at least initially. Like, I know that one of the sets became the objective set and things like that. We're going to focus mostly on mechanical things. So it's going to be this block deals with, and based on what I've seen behind the scenes, the first block is going to be dealing specifically with interaction. Moving a little bit forward, I've heard from a lot of people, either directly or indirectly, that we do need something that is, for lack of a better term, 2E OTF. Traditional is, or the all cards format is good, but it's holding players back, it's holding design back, and even groups that are doing it are kind of feeling some of the strain. This is a big project. It's probably going to will definitely need a representative from OP. It's going to be something that will involve a lot of departments and will take a lot of time. But it is kind of a stumbling block that's really holding us back from going forward. So for me to make a big statement that I'll probably regret, in 5 years, I would like to see us at a point where we can do a new affiliation. I am not saying that on June 30th, 2024, there will be a new affiliation. I want us to be in a place where we can do it, where OP is good, the affiliations are good, gameplay is good. We're at a place where we can do it and it won't be a problem. Charlie, you mentioned doing some surveys. For a while now, I've wanted to do a once-a-year survey on the prior year. What did you think of this set? What did you think of these mechanics? What did you think of the rules in the set? Blah, blah, blah. Just so that once a year I can get everyone's thoughts on the prior year, and we could use that going forward. Right now, the big data point that I use is whether or not cards are used in decks. That's one of the big barometers I use for how popular a card is at the end of the day. But I would like to get some more data, both cumulative and qualitative.
All right, so big plans for second edition then. Any questions or comments? Anybody else have anything 5-year plan sort of related you wanted to give us a glimpse of? I mean, if I'm looking forward to, my official duties as per the bylaws, I want to make sure, I'm theoretically supposed to be working on recruiting and, working with the Ambassador Corps to bring in the new players. So I certainly would like to see things like the website redesign go through and have an area on the website that's friendly for new players. That's something that I would like to see finished up, certainly within much less than 5 years. So that's something I need to personally work on for myself. All right, so hey Brian, glad you made it. I just gave everybody a big warehouse update, a promenade update as best as I could. Oh, I forgot the mats. Hey Charlie, I was dumb and I forgot to bring the mats home with me. Charlie picked them up.
Yes, they're somewhere in my my room exploded, so it's in here somewhere.
Is the cat playing with the mats?
The last I saw with the samples, it was basically 3 and 3. Like 3 people had commented they liked the mat with the Magic Girl on it, and the 3 people said, "Yeah, I like the mat with the stitching around the edges." So seemed to be pretty split. And we had people who were interested in buying sleeves.
Okay. So my connection is terrible at the moment. So I caught about half of that. It sounded like the audience was split on whether or not they would buy the mats and the sleeves. Right now we're on hold because, as someone brought up, there's a tariff situation and they haven't actually finalized that to announce whether or not the mats and the sleeves would fall under the tariff. So I haven't even bothered to about those because if the cost goes up, it might not even be feasible. As far as that goes, am I still connected? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I know that is an issue is the shipping, and I don't know that we can make that better right away. There's not going to be a fast and easy solution to the delays on shipping. I also have to talk to finance about those shipping costs because obviously that budget has grown as more people do. I don't know. We might have to limit when maybe we're shipping those raffle prizes only once a year, but you get 3 of your raffle winnings or whatever. I don't know what that solution will be. I have to look at the actual numbers for how much we're paying on shipping every month or whatever it is. And then the other part of that is getting the website stuff working properly so that we don't have errors happen where people are ordering things that they're not supposed to be able to order, but they expect them, and other issues like that. But that's how we're also trying to update the website to new technology, and that's also been delayed. So that's the website updated, and then we can build new systems onto that. I don't think grafting new systems onto the old site is a good idea. I think that's all the ideas I have right now.
Yeah, I am not looking forward to my 5 p.m. softball game today. I'm just putting that out there. It's going to be 95 Fahrenheit, I think, out there this afternoon. So
yes, it was getting warm.
Ooh.
All right, so the last new business, and I'd like to just talk this through. This is not something that I want to vote on this time. I'm going to put the policy out for public comment, but I wanted to get some ideas from the rest of you all, just very briefly. So it has been, as we saw, I think it was the March board meeting, we voted to donate $500 to the North American Continental Championships to relieve them of some of the costs of the venue. So a little background on that for people who aren't aware of that particular situation. When Michael Shea bid for this event, he had planned to use his usual venue in Atlanta, but this venue fell through because they wouldn't stay open late and they wouldn't open early for us. So it was, he was forced to go out and look for another venue to use, and he was not able to find a lower cost venue. And you note things like the middle of June is wedding season, and hotel rooms book really fast. This conference rooms book really, really fast, like years in advance for these sorts of things. So he ended up booking at the JW Marriott in Atlanta, and he was charged about approximately $2,400 for this space. A number of people came forward, and he had planned to charge basically, pretty hefty entry fees for all of the tournaments, and that was really going to depress turnout. We had plenty of people saying, "I'm not going to make it. I can't afford that level of cost." So John Corbett proposed that the continuing committee should donate, and he would match funding. We donated $500. John matched, and then a number of other donors also matched those donations, and we ended up, Michael ended up with $1,900 worth of donations, and he has covered the rest of that cost himself, and there were no entry fees for North American Continental Championships. Now, this has basically, I won't mince words. There were some people who were pretty angry about that, who said, we've spent money on these events in the past. We've lost money on these events in the past. Why hasn't the continuing committee ever done anything for us? And the answer kind of was, well, nobody asked before. So I wanted to lay out a policy on when and how we would, what sort of circumstances that we would donate to high-level events in the future. So I had some ideas on that. I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on these. So the first idea is that the continuing committee would limit its donations to level 3 events that are at level 3 or above. So Masters, Nationals, Continentals, and Worlds. We will request that when TDs bid for these high-level events, they do their best to find low-cost venues, secure low-cost venues, and make that a part of their bid, and have backup plans for if something goes wrong in those bids. We do offer, and have for many, many years, offered subsidized regional fees for level 2 regional events. So we have in the past waived a limited number of regional application fees for any TDs who experience hardship. So we would continue to do this waiver, one waiver per applicant for regional seasons. If a TD does incur a cost, they should, and they're experiencing financial hardship, they need to bring that issue to the director of organized play, who will bring the matter forward to the board. I don't have in mind a limit of what we're going to spend. With Justin, I've been talking with Justin a little bit about this, and we need to have a budget cap of how much we're going to give overall and how much we would give per TD. We've set a precedent already of $500, so that's an awful lot for our budget, and I'm not sure what cap we should put it at. Also, we should have some sort of way to make this equitable. So if some of the European players have expressed discontent because we've subsidized North America, and that makes it look like we're discounting. We don't care about what's going on in Europe. So there's been a little talk of needing to have some equity in the policy of when we'll do this, and if we do it for one TD, what we need to do to make it even with other events around the world. So thoughts, everybody? All right, so there's also been a question of should we donate some money to Worlds this year, because Julius is hiring a bartender. It's his Worlds is taking place at his family's jazz club, and he is hiring a bartender to tend bar for the whole event. So if you saw that there will be entry fees for that, and I think it's 50 euros for all 4 days, and less for each individual day. There was just an article that went out on that.
That's pretty reasonable, man. It's €12.50 per day. That's very reasonable, I think. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's 20 euros for 1 day, 50 euros for all 4 days. So, I wouldn't mind if we could donate to that to bring those fees down a little bit for some equity, but we got to know if that's in the budget or not.
I think if there were any event that we would want to ensure has the support that they need, that Worlds would be the most important one.
But Justin, I think you mentioned there were red flags with sending money overseas.
Oh, I mean, I'm still researching that. I don't have a degree in law. I don't speak law. I'm looking at things, accepting money from America. I haven't seen anything that's popped out as immediately like, wait, stop, no. But I don't think there's an issue. I mean, it's a small amount of money. I don't think it'll be an issue.
I mean, to be real, it's white people sending money to white people. They're probably not going to care. Like, it's sad, but that's probably the truth. Like, we're not, if Worlds was in Iran, then they would flag every transaction that we send.
Yeah.
I think we should research. I think we should send money to World, but I think the two questions we need to answer are: can we actually afford it, which I think we can, and can we legally do it? So, can we get answers to those questions and then make a decision, and do it so that they have it in advance and they know it's coming? Because if we wait till our next board meeting, it's going to be like 2 weeks before Worlds. That's not super helpful. So.
Yeah, the next board meeting I'm looking at would be actually July 21st. I don't know if that, because at least I wouldn't be able to make it on the 28th. I will be doing my traveling for Vienna. So if anybody wants to take over and chair the meeting on the 28th, if that would be preferred, I'm okay with that. But yeah.
I think 21st is fine, but I think what we should do is, what I would propose is that we conditionally approve a donation for Worlds. And then once we know that it's legal and we can afford it, we make it happen. So that's my suggestion.
Okay. Is that an official motion?
Yes.
Right.
For how much?
Well, that's what we're going to research.
Oh.
But I would say let's send them 500 or as much as we believe that we can legally send. Not to exceed $500.
I second.
All right, Ross seconds. All in favor?
Are there Are there any other events this year that might have to send money to?
Probably not, because the rest of the big events this year are Space Coast Masters,
And then the Nationals, the two nationals.
U.S. Nationals.
Canadian Nationals, but that doesn't need anything.
Daniel, do you think you're going to need the help with Space Coast Masters? Or
The only major expense there is I need to pay them. I have to purchase some store credit for the venue, which that's all that they ask for. Which I will use as prize support, but that's all they asked for as far as allowing us to use the venue. So something like $100 or $200. I should be able to do that on my own. I generally, I'm not going to take on an event if I don't think I can handle it.
yeah, I think the important thing about our policy about this is help for when you need it, for when stuff goes sideways. This isn't for
Exactly.
like I don't think Mike Shea would have asked for a dime if he didn't have to go do what he did, and I don't know that, and basically we're saying because we gave money here, we're willing to give money to Europe. I mean, if Patty feels like he needs some, we should offer him some, and then the rest can go to Worlds. I don't know. I just don't want to leave Julius hanging and the players, hey, if we can put up $500 and that reduces the entry fees 25%, people should know that as soon as possible. 21st isn't bad. So if we want to just table this and decide at the next meeting, then that's fine. But
I don't have a problem with.
I think condition I could take a look at that for Worlds, because that would definitely for people traveling. That might actually get more people within the Eurozone to come to Vienna if the fees are reduced. So that would be awesome.
Brian, what were you saying?
I don't have a problem with supporting the events everywhere, but we can't say that this is an emergency only policy and then say we're doing this just to make it even with America. It can't be both. This isn't an emergency policy. This is an emergency decision if we're doing it just to make things even with America. The policy would then have to be we're supporting all of these events.
I agree with you, but we haven't actually adopted a policy yet. I think
you're asking us to vote on this emergency funding that you're saying is maybe not necessary.
Okay. I'm not the one. Okay. If the European players feel that they need money or they think they should get money, I'm open to that. I'm not pushing for it. I was just moving us along. I was just trying to say, if we're doing it, let's do it with as much lead time as possible so that they know what's coming. That's literally all I'm coming from. Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. We can't have a policy and then ignore it. But right now we don't have a policy, and if Maggie's right, Maggie has said that there's people unhappy that we gave money to an American event and didn't give money to a European event. So if that's true, and we want to deal with that, then I think we should deal with it sooner rather than later. But again, I think if we're having our next board meeting on the 21st, that's 3 weeks before the Austrian Worlds. I think that's probably fine. We can decide then. And we can get public comment on the policy and make decisions. So,
because it looks like Julius has mentioned something on the boards. So
yeah. So the idea with building the policy now is what we're going to do going forward. And yeah, we could change conditions. So right now we're doing it, putting in some equity, putting it. So Brian, you are correct in that there is a bit of a conflict between the idea of making this emergencies only, but also saying, doing something in the policy to make sure that we have some equity between player groups, and that is a conflict that needs to be resolved. So this is why I want to take public comments from people on this to see different sides of these issues, and put everything together into a policy that makes some sense and can be that can be agreed upon by the player base. Because, as people have mentioned also, this money's coming from donations from around the world. So that's something we have to consider, that it should benefit from everybody around the world too. So it's a fine balance to make. So that's why we'll put that, we'll have that out for public comment, have people thinking about it. So we're not adopting any policy today. That will be tabled for old business for next month as well. In the meantime, we'll have Justin look at the budget levels. What is sustainable with this for this sort of policy, and what kind of cap we're going to put on it. All right. So is that satisfactory?
Well, there is a motion on the table for conditional funding.
I withdraw the motion.
Okay.
All right, so we'll table that discussion. We'll talk offline, and we'll table that for the next board meeting. All right, so right now I have the next meeting proposed. We didn't have any public comments. Let me check the chat room one last time. Didn't see. Of course, I got logged out. I didn't see any comments on the Discord. Did anybody see anything in the chat room?
No, I've been in there with you, and well, someone said hi, but
Okay.
that's more of a greeting than a comment.
Great. All right. So we will tentatively schedule the next board meeting for July 21st. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Sounds good.
All right. So any other business?
I move that we adjourn.
All right, Ross, we have a second.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Awesome. Thank you all for viewing the 2019 board meeting of the Continuing Committee.